Welcome. It's nice to see everybody here. I'd like to call to order this evening's Thursday, September 25th, 2025 budget workshop, first public hearing. If you would please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great, thank you very much. Starting out tonight's meeting, this is our first public hearing for the 2026 proposed budget. And City Manager Sonia Eiler, would you lead us into this, please?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So up on the screen is our PowerPoint presentation for this evening for fiscal year 2026 proposed budget. Next slide, please. Tonight I'm going to go over our budget philosophy. This budget is a maintenance of effort budget, meaning there are no new major initiatives in this budget. Council priorities are outlined. City manager and leadership focus is explained. Community priorities I've begun to list. And a budget workshop roadmap. I'm going to go over the Federal American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, that's also known as ARPA, and how we invested those funds. I'm going to give you a budget overview, a revenue and expenses overview, key points, challenges, and community priorities and next steps in the budget process. Next slide, please. Our budget philosophy is outlined here. It's important to discuss the why behind the numbers. This budget commits to fiscal responsibility in the current inflationary environment in Aroostook County at 4.1%. Maintains core services and core positions, balances community needs with available resources, invests for long-term sustainability, focuses on equity and value-added service delivery. What does that mean? Well, it means fair municipal service that is competent. Practices stewardship of our existing resources, explores approaches to retain staff, improve recruitment, and balance work life. And we believe it meets all charter and policy requirements. Next slide, please. City Council priorities can shift, so we have this conversation every year. Over the next few months and into 2026, we'll ask the Council to help shape not just this budget, but your priorities. City manager and leadership focus areas can also shift. Our focus has been to develop a strategic and master planning discipline that may result in a strategic or a master plan, but right now we're practicing the discipline involved in being able to do that. Beautifying our neighborhoods, our downtown, and our ports of entry. I'd like to align city projects into a shared vision. Enhance civic pride and quality of life for our residents. Improve communication with listening sessions and outreach through radio, social media, television, and direct conversations. Strengthen and reshape workforce for efficiencies. Develop interagency and public-private partnerships within our city. Improve neighborhoods with response teams. Secure grants to offset tax burden. Year to date, it's $2,748,500. And just yesterday, our grant writer and fire chief secured another $137,784. Strengthen recovery of unpaid taxes. Year to date, it's about $80,000 we've recovered. and improve collections processes to secure funds due. Currently, there's about $400,000 for services unpaid that we are starting to recover. Next slide, please. Our community priorities, what we are hearing. Safer and well-maintained neighborhoods and public spaces. Road repair and maintenance. Identify and improve quality of life issues, including access to services and cultural events. Better communication with citizens to improve transparency and accountability in government. Reduce residential tax burden. Fairness and equity, services and decision-making that treat residents consistently and respectfully. Our citizens want economic opportunity, job growth, housing, infrastructure that attracts investment. Ordinances that address fireworks, animal cleanup, and vendors. And neighborhoods without health hazards or public nuisances. Next slide, please. What you have before you is a budget workshop roadmap. It takes a couple of months to build a budget. There are some unknowns at the moment. Our health increases are estimated, but we won't know that until mid-November. So there's a lot of conversation that has to happen between this night and you actually approving this budget. And on November 12, our auditors will join us to give you an update, answer your questions, and a bird's eye view and objective perspective on our finances. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, over the next couple of months, we'll ask counselors to help us shape this budget. And our charter says that by December 31st, we need to vote a budget for 2026. Next slide, please. This is a budget overview for current investment projects, ARPA funds, and total revenues and expenses. Next slide, please. The current investment projects underway are new airport terminal, Presque bypass project by the state of Maine, no local tax dollars in that. Land use solar code changes, housing development partnerships, the Downtown Village Partnership, or also known as the VPI, the John F. Kennedy Aerospace Research Park, a bike path extension, and the Echo Lake project. Next slide, please. The American Rescue Plan Act categories funded. This is what we invested in last year in broad categories. So infrastructure, you can see that's what we invested the most in. Equipment, investment, and miscellaneous. Next slide, please. And here it is at a different look. The department, the category, the description, and the amount. Next slide, please. Factors outside of our control on this budget. There are more than that is listed here, but these are the highlights. Revenue sharing down 16.26%, and that equates to $686,749. Revenue sharing is in red because I have another slide that's going to explain revenue sharing just a little bit. Our union contracts that were agreed on 2 years ago indicates a 4% cost of living increase, and that amounts to $564,000. Enterprise leasing, as you know, that's our fleet of cars for our police department and other departments, up by $65,000. We've experienced a significant utility increase, 6.36%, and that's amounted to $85,000. We are susceptible to inflation. We have aging infrastructure needs and insurances with a 10% increase, and we'll know more about that later on in this process. Next slide, please. What is state revenue sharing? State revenue sharing is money that the state of Maine collects through sales and income taxes and then shares back with towns and cities. It helps local governments pay for services so they do not have to rely on property taxes alone. Our share is decided by how much property value we have compared to the state overall, our population, and how heavy our tax burden is compared to others. The variables in this, through the eyes of the state, is number one, how much property value we have compared to the state overall. Number two, our population. Number three, how heavy our tax burden is compared to others throughout the state. Essentially, the state looks at this as how the state sees our ability to raise money compared to other towns. Next slide, please. The impact of revenue sharing. If revenue sharing had been funded at the rate that it was last year, this draft of the 2026 budget would be 2 pennies higher than the 2025 approved budget. Next slide, please. This is your summary. It's on page 5 of your book. And this is where we get some real details here. County tax, $1,718,583. Our expenses last year were $20,016,901. Our expenses for projected 2026 are $20,350,568. That represents a 1.67% increase, or $333,667. Our municipal sharing, you can see, was $4 million, north of $4 million, and this year north of $3 million, at a loss of 16.26%. Our revenue was up this year by $171,000. It's due to all departments, but the lion's share of that is our EMS service. Next slide, please. How did we get to the current numbers? Deep cuts to public works equipment and paving projected needs reduced. We need an excavator and we need more paving. The department head responsible for that department will come before you and talk to you about that through this budget process. But for tonight's purpose, I just would like you to know that those are needs. I took them out of the budget because I didn't feel we could afford them this year. But nothing came before me from the department heads that was not a clear need. So we have some tough decisions moving forward. But for right now, those two things were taken out of the budget and they were recommended by our department head. Very conservative projections for our facility and maintenance needs. The best practice is 1 to 2% for our size for a municipality, and we are right about in the 1 to 2%. So I took it down to best practices and no lower, but it is extremely conservative. We've delayed purchases or refurbishments of trucks or equipment at the fire department. Daryl, our chief, will come before you and probably explain that as well. We flat funded significant numbers of line items within the operating budget. Our increased revenues certainly helped matters, $171,164. This is the first year in a few years that we've negotiated better fuel rates to decrease budget by $59,000, where I locked in at a rate of 2.675. We aligned some staffing levels with service demand, and we recommended a surplus supplement at $750,000. Last year it was $600,000. The average over the past 3 years for surplus supplement was $780,000. You will hear from department heads their rationale for the equipment needs they have. There was no item placed into the budget that wasn't needed and nothing removed that didn't cause a ripple effect. Next slide, please. Our key priorities and challenges, major cost impacts, capital investments, and key challenges. Rising utility costs, ongoing capital needs, Housing is stalled or bottlenecked. Balancing sustainability with growth investments. These are things that are broad terms, but we will need to spend some time with you in 2026 to help us shape how to fix some of those problems. There's some, next slide, please. There's some areas for improved forecasting. We've been tax acquiring places, and we haven't done a great job forecasting those expenses. Public health and safety cleanup costs. Environmental remediation, in other words, campsites. Blighted properties, general community cleanup in our neighborhoods. Outreach coordinator supplies, what that looks like, how much. Technology infrastructure needs, we have some big ones. Revenue projections and meeting those revenues. Housing investments such as site development and incentives for developers. These are areas that we need to improve our forecasting. The next steps in the budget process, this is our first hearing, we'll have another, and we'll have council workshops. We'll be gathering data throughout the next couple of months, and final adoption by December 31st, and implementation by January 1st, 2026. Future considerations that I did not put in this budget. Security for City Hall. Most government buildings are treated a little differently than what our City Hall is treated. Assess the need for engineering and planning expertise within city staff to strengthen our infrastructure and community, our bridges, our roads, our projects. We need engineering and planning. We need to advance housing development through targeted investments, working with Development Fund for site planning and city planning boards and planners. We need to expand tourism initiatives across the arts, culture, recreation, events. We need to do a better job at cultivating a pride of place and strengthening our community identity. Are we the heart of Aroostook? Are we the hub of Aroostook? Are we the Star City? Who are we, and where do we want to be? We can accomplish that in part through public art and beautification across the city. Master planning brings separate initiatives into one roadmap for progress that we can advance together. And we may need a solar consultant to maximize our solar credits and to reduce our energy costs. Next slide, please. I want to take a minute to say that we have some extraordinary people who work for the city of Presque. They give more than they take. They do less. They do more with less. And each and every one of them worked very hard on the budget that was placed before you, while also doing their regular duties. So I'd like to take a minute to thank those extraordinary people, our department heads, Laura, our human resources director. We've all been focused heavily on bringing a budget before you and the citizens that is fair and reflects a fiscal responsibility. So thank you for listening tonight. And I look forward to working with you over the next couple of months to shape a budget.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Sonia. A lot there. Very much appreciated. And throughout this budget season, folks, all of these budget meetings are open to the public. People are encouraged to attend, follow along, keep up with it. If you got questions, suggestions, by all means, reach out to a counselor and get involved. Okay, moving along. This is an item that was added to this meeting, and that is what I believe most everybody is here for this evening. to discuss the future of the Nordic Heritage Center. It's an opportunity to discuss the center and determine the next steps, and take a vote to set its course of action. We have received numerous emails, comments, most of which have been submitted to our city clerk, Kim Finnemore, and those will be entered into public record. We're not gonna read them all tonight, we'll be here all night long. But I would assure that, I believe every counselor up here has read just about every single one, replied to a few. I mean, it's impossible to reply to every single one, but I would like to assure everybody here that they have all been heard, considered, et cetera, et cetera. With that said, prior to council taking this up for discussion and vote, I think it's fair to the citizens to allow those who are interested in addressing the council and the city manager a brief time at the podium to address, ask, speak, whatever your wish may be. Try to keep it short, keep it polite, and keep it civil. Try and keep it limited to a minute, 2. I mean, I know what it's like. I know I'll be here all night long. I don't think everybody else does either. This is a big deal. So the podium's open. Who'd like to go first?
Mr. Chair, I
Oh.
think we need a motion to add that to the agenda.
Yes, we need a motion to have the public hearing, because that wasn't for citizens' comments.
Well, okay. Then I would
And
entertain
Mr.
that
Chair, I
motion.
will make the motion.
Well,
Second.
we've had a
Second.
motion. All right, all those in favor? Okay. Now we got that out of the way. We can. Yes, dear. By all means, get in line, or however you want to do it.
Do I
It's-
state my name, or?
Sure.
Sure.
please.
Yes, please. This is all being recorded,
Okay.
and it will be
Live
part
on
of the
YouTube.
public record.
I am Phyllis Howe. I have been a resident of Presque for like 53 years. Sonia Eiler was very articulate about explaining our budget, explaining our needs, and explaining the money that we wished we had that we didn't. So in that respect, the fact that the Heritage Center continuing is not a bad idea, but I don't feel that it is our duty, our burden to take that on. A corporation that wants to buy it, fine, but the expense of buying that and maintaining that, along with trying to get our new equipment for the highway department and all of the things that you mentioned, I don't see it happening, which I like to have things that I can't afford, so there you go.
Very well, thank you very much.
I'm gonna go, but it's gonna be more than 2 minutes. My name's Chris Condon. I know a lot of people here, and I think I represent some people in some conversations. But I don't know everybody. My history is I owned a business in town, owned a number of commercial properties, was involved in Rotary and United Way and MHC, and very involved in the community through my career. Phyllis, your comment about taxes is fair, but to step back, I applaud you all for having the courage to bring this forward, because there's, especially at budget time, why couldn't we do this at a time when it wasn't so much energy? But as we think about this, and we think about the vote that you have coming at you, I just tender a couple things for consideration. I attended the Aroostook Area Agency on Aging dinner last night. Craig was there, and some others maybe in this room. And they presented a statistic which I found scary or alarming as we think about investing in long-term for this community. 26% of the residents of this county are over the age of 65. That's fewer people to buy life insurance and construction and fix cars and whatever. Might be good for one business, I guess, here. And if we play those numbers and statistics forward, it means we're basically committing to having a smaller economy, unless or until we make investments in the community to encourage people to live here, move here, or visit here. And we're not going to encourage people to be here around having the best clubs or the best arts district. What we need to lever is what we are, and that's a safe, wonderful place to bring up your kids, and that's outdoor activities, whether it's motorized or non-motorized. And I'm not suggesting that the Nordic Heritage Center is the solution, but I think it's part of it, as we have a long-term strategic plan on how to meet some goals here. I saw short-term, smaller growth to faster growth, right? We need to make investments to do that. The Nordic Heritage Center can be part of that, and we've shown that. So there's a lot of reasons, and that entity has shown in the past there's a lot of reasons for us to support it. Economic, social, anxiety, and so forth. So I think the overall sentiment around supporting it is there. A lot of conversations. Kim received a lot of calls. I read a lot of I didn't read those, but I read a lot of the Facebook posts. And the Facebook posts, a lot of them are angry. Some people, I think, deserve to give an apology to Sonia, because it shouldn't be that mean. It's fair to express opinions. The tax question is a real one. I have paid a lot of taxes to this city over the years, and I have complained at times, and that's a fair question. I don't think that's really what we're getting at, though. We can put together a public-private plan, wording that Sonia used in the open forum here a couple weeks ago, where the private sector can come in and, through corporate advertising, through donations, through philanthropy, through grants, we can minimize or almost eliminate the tax impact. This is not a tax question. We've got a budget together. We have a group called Friends of Nordic Heritage. We have a budget that we can demonstrate, if we have the opportunity, that this is not a tax question. So as you think about a decision, I think you have two decisions coming at you. The first one is the private versus public, and Phyllis mentioned that. If we make a decision that has to be somebody from the private sector, then we're making a decision to not invest. And if somebody buys it, they can buy it and they can cut the wood, they can make it a gravel pit, they can do lots of things with it, but it's not going to be for public use, and that's a decision. So the first decision I would like to see, encourage the council to make, is whether you're in favor of that being something for the public or it's something very different. And I know that the private sector conversation is fair, but to say that all of those, any project should be private, is to suggest that we shouldn't ever have parks. Central Park, the best use of Central Park in New York City is not a park. And so as we think about value, my father sat in your chairs in the early 80s when a railroad bed was defunct and a bunch of garbage and drugs and drinking around it, and it became a bike path. And there were hundreds of calls to my family house about taxes and how it's going to cost to upkeep. Today, we cannot imagine a community without that bike path. And so we have moments and times where we can stop and pause and invest in the future. So I think the first question is whether you think it's private or public. I think that's one vote. And then the second is whether the degree that the city wants to be involved. There's two different paths we can take this. I would love to see the city negotiate this. They've been very, as positive as they've been, Libra's been, they've been very open to having a conversation with Sonia, which I give her a ton of credit for. If the city could negotiate it, we can go out and create a nonprofit. We're still going to need the city to do some help, as you have the last couple years in whatever plowing or mowing or certainly recreation programs and so forth. But as you work through this, there is a plan. There is a group of individuals that can volunteer to make it. I've contacted a number of friends and clients that are willing to put up some philanthropy money, and so I've got $500,000 in my head to start. And then there's some corporate donations that I know have already happened. They were generating 60 or 70,000 a year. So as you look at this and think about it, I'd ask you to think about two different votes. One on whether it should be public or private. If this should be a park, if you will, that's one vote. If you think it should be a gravel pit or cut for firewood or something, that's okay too. That's certainly fair, and that can generate some tax revenue. The second vote is whether you want to work with us as the private sector and creating a joint venture with very little tax impact to maintain something that has just been so awesome for our community. So that's more than 2 minutes, I know it, but I've talked to a lot of people in this group, a few of you at the table, and be happy to meet with you to talk details if that makes sense. So thank you.
Very well. Thank you very much, Chris, and much appreciated. Did you speak for all of them?
No.
No, I'm just kidding. In the back.
Good evening. To say it's a tough act to follow, it'll be following this guy. I'm probably going to be as popular as a skunk at a lawn party, so I'd like to look at this from a little bit different perspective. I'm a numbers person, and when we talk about public-private initiatives and things, I have a very hard time getting my head around approving a public initiative without knowing, we can say it's going to be a little impact to the city, or some impact to the city, but what is the impact to the city? I'm a lifelong, my name's Mike Thibodeau, live at 68 Pine here in Presque. I know many of you in the room. Lifelong resident of Presque, third generation. I think I was born in this building almost 70 years ago. Crazy. And just to level set for a minute, I've always, number one, I'm incredibly proud to be a citizen of Presque, always have been. I've also been incredibly proud of the growth, the prudent growth stature that our council has always taken regarding Presque being a leader in Aroostook County versus a follower. And I know that hasn't always been easy, but I think the benefits are clear today if you look at where we are versus various communities in the county. And I applaud that. And I know in this challenging environment today, like Chris mentioned Facebook, I don't even have a Facebook account because I don't want to be exposed to that stuff. It's just, it's some of it's just vile. And so I tip my hat to all of you as municipal servants in today's world. Quickly, I retired in 2019. I was a businessman in the community for over 40 years. My October 2020 tax bill was $33,004. My October 14th 25 tax bill that's due is $4,385 for an increase of $1,381. Percentage-wise, that's a 45.97% increase in taxes. And I know our mill rate has stayed pretty constant, but our valuations have changed. So the first thing that I would respectfully ask the council around this budget, or if not this budget, a future budget, and Sonia, you're doing an awesome job. So tickled to have you as our city manager, would be to respectfully advocate for a municipal-wide revaluation. I get the impression that how it's being done right now, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, but at least on the residential side, it seems like that properties are being cherry-picked based upon where they are in the city, what comparable sales values are, and things of that nature, and it's just very subjective. And I look at, I'm on Zillow almost daily, and I see houses that I know are I try to take care of my home, but during this period, I haven't added a garage or a pool or anything like that. I'm just maintaining my existing house that was built in 1958. And I look at other houses that I know are more valuable than my house, and then I scroll down to what's their latest tax, and they're paying like $1,200 or $1,300 less than I am. So that's one concern that I have. The other that I have is a fair sharing or an equitable balance between residential and commercial. I'm concerned that might be getting skewed, and I know that we need a solid business base in our community, but by the same token, I just think we need to ensure that there's a fair and equitable balance between residential and commercial. So I just wanted to mention that, and I appreciate your consideration. Regarding the Maine Winter Sports Center, I've always been a strong proponent of that facility. But I would just ask that until all the details are known as to what type of a partnership this is going to be, that we just kind of pump the brakes here. The city has some enormous undertakings going on right now. We've got a new airport terminal, which my understanding is from some pretty reliable sources that could be facing some pretty significant cost overruns. We're looking at, I see surveyors all over downtown, which tells me that the downtown revitalization's heating up, which is going to be a significant outlay, I assume. Sonia, you mentioned the need in public works and the need to cut. Right now, recreation and parks, based on this little dollar bill that was in our tax packet this year, out of every dollar spent, recreation and culture is 11 cents. That's more than we spend on public works. Public works is only 10 cents out of every dollar. And I think recreation and culture used to include the forum, which it doesn't now. That's been kind of spun off, right? So, and I was a strong proponent of all the expansion on Riverside Drive when I know that there were some naysayers there, and I drive down by there every day. I have grandkids that when they're here, we take them down there. They participate in programming. I'm incredibly proud of the rec center complex, the Sargent Center, and that whole complex along the river, and I tout that on a daily basis. All I'm suggesting is right now, given the situation that we're at with these other major undertakings, also given the fact that over the last 5 years our water and sewer rates have doubled, not to mention our electrical rates have doubled. So for those people in the community, I mean, I can pay it, but there's a lot of people in this community, retirees living on fixed incomes, that are struggling. And Chris, you hit on it, 26% in the county. I'd venture to say it's higher than that in Presque Isle, just anecdotally. It used to be you could go out to the country club during the week and get a tea time, and now it's like adult daycare out there. So there are a lot. There's an awful lot of over age 65 people in Aroostook County, and it's growing, baby boomers. So that's all I had to say. Again, if you can work on a partnership that doesn't impact our tax base, I think the fact that you've brought Lieber to the table, as Chris said, Sonia, is, my God, compared to where we were a year ago, based on what I've heard, I think that's monumental. But again, I'm just really concerned about, in a world of billions and trillions, to me, $1 million is still a lot of money. And if we're looking at cutting municipal services and things for vital services, I just think that we need to go into this eyes wide open and ensure that this can be a partnership. Chris, if you're saying that you can put together something, I have all the faith in the world that you and your consortium can. I'm just speaking from the vantage point of a taxpayer with concern about, increased costs. And so that's all I had to say. And again, I want to thank you all for your efforts. It's because of the council's posture over the last 75 years that Presque Isle is the hub of Aroostook. But there's also stress with being a service center community as well. So it's just a balance. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks, Mike. Ms. Tillman?
Good evening. Darren Hunter, Presque resident. My brother-in-law actually gave me some good comments. He's not able to be here, so I'm just trying to fill some of the gaps. He was the president of Nordic. I don't know if any of you have talked to past presidents about the facilities, but there are some major concerns out there. To begin with, I don't know if you know this, but the well is not serviceable, needs to be tested daily and sent in to the state for testing. Let me read here. I should have stuck to this, but I was trying to go off my head here. Not to be pessimistic, but a lot of what people are suggesting has already been tried, meaning the fundraising, the people that come in and offer philanthropy. Yes, they do that, but those people come and go. You know, it's still a liability to taxpayers ultimately. Usage was ultimately very low there for those that time period. One of the issues they had was getting insurance there. With the gun range on the facility, I think it was a typo. He had MMA, but I think he meant MMG. They wouldn't insure it unless you took the gun range out. Okay, so, but you can't take the gun range out without DEP approval because there's lead all through the bank and there was no barriers. Again, I'm not the person that was out there. I'm just trying to pass notes along for somebody who's out of town. Removal is not an option because all of the lead remediation required by DPA or DEP, there was no containment backstop installed. And then lastly, other issues too, there's no sprinklers, so the lodging can't be approved. The well also won't support it. There's no septic for the wax building, and the grounds around that building don't pass the soil inspection to add one. Not to mention all the land conservation easements and vein of ledge that runs through the property that will make housing development tough. So, long story short, I mean, I'm sure, again, I know he's more than probably a lot smarter than I am in this regard, but I do think there is a extremely heavy liability that I'm not sure that taxpayers should be taking on in that risk ultimately. So thank you for your time. I know it's a great facility. It's amazing. But ultimately, I just have concerns. Anecdotally, my taxes have gone up 43% over the last 8 years, mostly by valuations. Again, just for your information, that's a concern of mine as well. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
I have 14 pages. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I do, but I won't. My name's Carly Cleaves. And my thing is that was a cost-benefit analysis done before this was even looked at. The city of Presque managed it for 3 years. There was a comment made to Maine Public that the facility is too difficult to maintain during limited revenue. So even if we have a private party that comes into it or we do it through the community, I mean, we have to look at taxes. So, and we have, you know, aging infrastructure, and you said it yourself through your budget notes that we're going to cut stuff. So I just don't think this is beneficial for the city at this time or its residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Carly. Anybody else? Can't let it stall yet.
I'd like to say just a few words. City manager, council members, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. To Darren's points, I don't know if we really care about the buildings. We care about the trails. I have been thinking a lot about this for the last few days, and I really can't find a good reason why we should not give this a chance. What does a no vote accomplish tonight? It allows the opportunity to lose this tremendous asset forever. You know, a private investor can come in and close the trails, close it to the public, and we never have it again. What does a yes vote accomplish? It accomplishes the ability to secure the land and protect the trails. It allows the city to work with government agencies to receive grant funding and to place the trails in conservation forever. It allows the city to work with private investors from the private sector who have ideas for use on other sections of the land. It allows time for a group of individuals, like Chris was saying, to organize and raise funding to pay for operating costs. It allows the city to have control with minimal effect on the citizens, where the debt service on $1 million loan at 4% for 20 years to pay back the principal and interest will only increase the bill 0.11. That's less than $10 on a $100,000 home. Just to give this a shot. In my opinion, that's inconsequential considering the amount of my taxes and what they're at now. Close to 10,000, so that's fine. And you know what? If all else fails and we can't get grant funding to cover some of the costs of this, and we can't raise funding to cover the operating costs, if all else fails, we have 750 acres of land that we can turn around and sell and likely make a profit on it if we're getting at $1 million. So I don't see what, not giving this a shot accomplishes. And I think we should move forward with trying to make it ours for the future of Presque, really.
Thanks, Andrew. Ms. Stillman?
My name is Noah Rush Mabry. I grew up in Fort Fairfield. I can't tell you the amount of hours that I spent at the Nordic Heritage Center riding my bike. I broke my bike, I crashed my bike, I cross-country skied, I hiked. I spent a lot of time out there. Looking at the faces in this room, I'm probably one of the youngest people here. And this facility helped make me who I am. The amount of time that I spent there, enjoyed, really escaped. I rode my bike from Fort Fairfield to the Nordic Heritage Center to ride. I would get rides from anyone who would take me. I love it. Now, I understand that there's a cost. I also understand that 95% of Maine is privately owned. I'm sorry, but that's probably going to continue that way, if not get worse. Now, I'm not saying that the Nordic Heritage Center needs to stay the same way as it is. Honestly, I think it should change. There's a lot of things that can change. And we need to look at it from a different light. I think a lot of folks here were looking at it as what it was, not what it can be. And that's the problem. We need to take it and completely rethink about what it is. Private-public partnerships. We need to figure something out. It may not be today. It may not be in 6 months. We need to figure something out. A plan needs to happen. But if we don't press pause and secure it, we could lose it. And losing it, with how much money and time has been spent putting those trails in, that property's worth more than $1 million. Now, buildings, things like that, I completely agree. That's something that needs to be solved. But I think most of the people here care about what the trails are. And if we lose those, we may not get them back. I agree with Andrew. The fact that we can buy this for $1 million, we could probably turn it around. That's not what I want to see happen, but it's an option. So I think we need to back out our view, and rather than sitting here focusing whether the Nordic Center is coming back, well, it's not. It's something different now. It needs to be something different now if we're going to keep it. So that's my 2 cents. Hope that helps.
Thank you. Thank you, Noah. Gentleman in the hallway?
Sorry, I've tried to duck in.
No, it's all
I
right.
really don't want to talk, actually. I'm new here, really, relatively. I've been here only 5 years. And
Your name, please?
what was that?
Your name?
JD Christensen. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. I feel like I've come to a business meeting, and I'm not a businessman. But
Relax.
it's like
You're all right.
okay. So, the Nordic Center is so important. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm not a public speaker, so but it's like one of these opportunities. It feels like it's once in a generation sort of an opportunity. It's like it's the right price. I mean, my God, $1 million for something that is it's worth way more than $3 million. I mean, it just seems crazy just that alone, right? And then you have the fact that it's in the right place. It's right at like Quaggy Joe. You can go there so quickly. It's from town, and I don't know if you. So I've been here for 5 years, but I've been traveling here for like, oh God, since 2009, and it's like Presque Isle has like nothing. Just so you know, like except for the Nordic Center. It's like I would travel up here before I moved here just for the Nordic Center, and I don't know. I kind of have an attachment to it, and I feel like the opportunity, like it's something that's going to be. I think you'll regret it if we don't act now. And so I heard. I'm sorry, I don't know really anyone's name. I know some. I know like a lot of you, but I just but somebody had mentioned about pumping the brakes, and my God, please don't pump the brakes. It's like you're going to kill the momentum, and I mean, it's so much part of the community. I don't know. I'm sorry about my voice, but it's just it's hard to think that it's going to be lost to a developer, and that developer isn't going to have the interests of the community, really, the best interest. I mean, a developer thinks about the developer, and I feel like one thing that's really important up here is, and I mean, like everyone got together, but I feel like some of us, probably everyone here, I mean, feel some sense of community. They wouldn't be here, but I like the idea, that slide that you had of the future, because like, I mean, it's kind of important to think about. I mean, it's like some of us still have hopes and dreams, It's like sometimes I feel like when I hear, oh, my taxes are going to go up or whatever, and it's like, my God, that sounds so short-sighted. This is such a long-term investment. I know that this is really for young people. Really, it's for like, I mean, I think it's going to be something that you will totally regret if you vote against it. It's like it has everything, I mean, it's just going to be such a missed opportunity. And don't pump the brakes. Just you've got the momentum for $1 million. Oh my God, you guys could turn that into anything. It's totally income. It would be income generating. You guys could have. There could be leases, rents. You could have. I don't know, like you already have weddings and things like that in the buildings, the trails. I mean, there's just so much, and the trail. I don't know how many of you went to the festival, the yearly festival. That's so sad that it hasn't, that we didn't have it. And anyway, I've probably spoken too much, and sorry about that. But
Nope,
my
you're all
God,
set, JD. No.
okay, yeah.
Thanks.
But yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Name's William Bradford. I appreciate you guys all coming here today, and I appreciate everybody showing up. And what it sounds like to me, I'm newer here in the community. I am a business owner, and I do pay personal taxes, which have also gone up extremely high in this past year. What I hear is it's very valuable property. I hear that it could be worth something to somebody, a developer. Clearly they haven't bought it already, so it's not worth that much to a developer at this point. What I'd like to see is some numbers. You say you could put something together, that'd be great. It sounds like we've got a lot of issues with the well, the buildings, gun range, And it sounds like there's a lot of stuff there that needs to be taken care of before we just say, yeah, sure, let's see if we can't double our money. Trails, I think that would be awesome. As a person that uses trails, it'd be nice to have private trails or public trails that we could all use, but it's just a lot of speculation. It's a lot of money for a lot of speculation, and nobody really has any clue other than let's rush and get this done. So I guess I would pump the brakes as a taxpayer. I'd like to see, let's slow down a little bit, let's put a plan together, and then let's make something happen that way. And that's really all I have to say.
Thank you.
Council, comment. Name's Anthony Dow. I am a taxpayer here. I just want to ask the council to consider a few things. I think when Mr. Thibodeau said pump the brakes, it's not put it on the shelf and forget it. Let's slow down. 1.6 mil, you make it sound like it's nothing. So in my 37 years of working for the Department of Transportation, I understand infrastructure. So if you don't have roads, you can't get people in and you can't get them out. Large culvert on one of your roads out there right now, to replace it in kind, let's say it's 400,000. But now we got the Army Corps of Engineer and DEP has to come in and do bank full width, and that turns into a bridge. Now you're talking $1+ million. I'm pro highway because I work for the Department of Transportation. Has brought my family up and fed them. I know how important roads are, right? But I also have grandchildren in this community. I have nieces and nephews that are having children in this community. And yes, have I been up there once or twice? And I'm an old adult, ready for retirement. I look at Echo Lake, we used to go there all the time, go to Haystack, there's the state park, there's other opportunities. If you're gonna do this, numbers don't lie. Put it on paper and prove to the people that I had a tax hike. I don't like it. I don't like going to the grocery store and buying 2 packages of hamburger and hot dogs and stuff, and it's $100. Electric bill doubled. I don't like it. It's way of life, but put the numbers down, present it to the people, prove your point. Okay? Thank you.
Hi, Robin Duty. I know most of you because I've worked in the community for all of my life, 15 years old, live on Harvest Lane. I tend to be in agreement with you and Mike. As a business person, if you go to the bank and you want a loan for a business, you have to give a business portfolio. And I think that long term, you know, to give $1 million, everybody says, it's $1 million. It's $1 million. And if I own a business and I'm operating it and I have 10 staff members and I buy another piece of business and I'm going to pay for it, but I'm going to make sure my employees have to chip in. And that's what we're looking at. We're citizens of Presque Isle, and if our taxes go up, we have to chip in. And mine have gone up considerably over the years. I'm okay with that. But $1 million for me, it's a lot of money. And long term, there's so many things to look at. Now, getting everybody on board initially, that's great. But in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, are these people going to drop off? So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I love it. But there's a very unique group of people that go there. So all I'm saying is we need to say, what are we going to do with it? Why are we buying this? Why are we buying this? What's the end result? What is the motive? What's the long term? How is it going to affect our employees, citizens? And I think that just taking a hard look at it, I think to rush any business person, and y'all business people here, if you rush to judgment on something, it doesn't end well usually. And I appreciate the passion that everybody has because it is a beautiful place But we don't know if somebody else came in. What are they going to do? Maybe they're going to do what we want to do. Maybe they're going to change it up a little bit. Maybe they're not going to tear down all the trees and demo it. And, we don't know that. But as a business person, we need to know what the plan is. And if we're going to vote on it immediately and say, let's do it because it's passionate and things don't end well with that, why are we doing it? How is it going to affect everybody here? And my taxes, like I said, my taxes have gone up, and there are houses that pay less than my house in taxes and probably shouldn't be. So as citizens, we all take a look at that. And again, didn't plan on speaking, but I just think that we should take a hard look at it before we jump. And if we decide in the long term to jump, that's great. But again, we have to look at maintenance, what we're going to do. There's plowing, there's mowing, there's, it's just year round. Are we going to have no snow until the middle of February like we did last year? Are we going to have rain from May to July? We have to look at those things with a business like this, I think. And so I'm just saying, let's take a hard look at it and let's decide not on passion, but on business and reality. And I love that you're in your position.
Thank you, Robin. Anyone else out in the hallway? Okay, we'll let this lady go first. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sarah Rush Mabry. I moved here with my husband 3 years ago. I grew up in Southeast Alaska. I am very fortunate to be a remote worker in Park City, Utah. I can't tell you how many times I've mentioned that I live near Presque, and people in Utah have said, I was there in the 80s. I went to the biathlon. This is so great. That space is so awesome. I love the Nordic Heritage Center. I had no idea this place existed until my husband told me he grew up in Port Fairfield, Maine. Coming here, you're going to have to take me out of my house in a casket because I will never leave. I have so many friends that live in large urban areas that want the smaller life, but they have no idea this is here. And they have no idea the community that builds around each other, that grows as we build each other up. In 3 years, I have seen more heart, more love, and more passion in an area than my entire life, even in Alaska, right? I would very much encourage you to go through the analysis. There's grants out there. There is outreach to be done for people to know that this is here and that we take pride in the place that we live. Maine, the way that life should be, right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, my name is David Gordon. I've been in Star City a couple decades now, and my taxes are up over 50% in the last 2 years. First, I guess I'd like to talk a little bit about the proposed budget. Now, I know a lot of people are working hard on it, and a lot of tough decisions need to be made, but I really believe a portion of it should include the taxpayers being able to public vote on it. They should be able to take the power of the dollar and raise the bar for the community. Public voting on some of governmental tax spending is about as fundamental as voting for your elected officials. That's all I got to say about the budget. It should really include a small portion of it should raise the bar and maybe help teach our children that more public voting on governmental tax spending today is better than none tomorrow. Okay, so next, when it comes to the Nordic, I know it's a great idea, and this and that. But I think back, and I know I've listened to every people for and against it, but Jeffrey, you got it stuck in my head. I was at that last meeting with you. You said it's not going to make any money for the next few years, period. You said that at the meeting.
Yeah.
So, I think to myself, why should consider it more, maybe bring out the numbers more and how profitable it will be in the next 3 or 4 years versus the next 8 years or down the line. And to top it all off, the property, like you said at the last meeting, isn't even all in Star City. And I know the kids need the trails and stuff like that, but we just acquired 300 acres down the Chapman. It wouldn't take much to make a few trails. Get something else going. Any which way, that's my 2 cents. Appreciate it.
Come on.
Hello, everyone. My name's Camden Bates, and I'm a taxpayer here in Presque Isle. A really wise businessman that I respect, and is a businessman in this community, has a really, really insightful saying that I think applies here. He says, "An elephant for $1 is only a good deal if you need an elephant and you have $1." So what I would ask everyone to consider is, if this property is worth something, if everyone has pointed out that if it doesn't work, you can sell it and make revenue off of this. But if that's the case, then why hasn't anyone presented a business plan to a bank? If it's generating revenue and is self-sustaining, why hasn't someone made this a business model? And I really do encourage you, Chris, because I think you're on the right path. I just don't think that this falls to the taxpayer to be responsible for. So please consider that food for thought. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Folks, got time for one more? My name's Buddy Collins. Some of you might know me. I'm a taxpayer here in Presque Isle. A couple things regarding the Nordic is, we hear about it being a mistake if we let someone buy it and what have you, but I think we should look at the mistakes also that could present themselves with that property. And just looking back in the past with the outdoor swimming pool, the basketball court and baseball field, I believe when we tore that stuff up, that kind of put us in a situation with the state where we didn't qualify for grants for a while. That led to us purchasing a piece of land that is out near the state park that cost us somewhere between $300,000 and $400,000 with the taxpayer money, and we gave that to the state. So I'm just worried that, because we had that property, we could have done what we wanted with it, but it did put us in bad graces with the state where we didn't qualify for grants, cost us money to make that right, to get us back on track. So there's just those thoughts. If we buy that land, we get this grant money, what if, in 10 or 20, 30 years, these same counselors aren't sitting here and they forget that we received that grant money and they say, hey, sell it off or tear it up, and it puts us further in the hole. As far as buying the Nordic to market it to out of town, out of state, I mean, we're sitting on millions and of acres, waterfalls in the woods. There's a lot to market around here, and I don't think it's the property that we're lacking. I think it's a marketing issue. Do I agree the Nordic is an awesome property? I really do, and it's something that should be protected somehow to make sure that people can enjoy it. Is it the city's job to do that? I don't feel. I believe the last person that was speaking talked about down near the Arnold Brook Lake, which there is quite a chunk of land down there that's really close to the bike path that exists. With the Nordic, I feel it's quite a ways out of town. I'm not going to feel comfortable my 12-year-old kid biking out there to spend the day. I mean, he's going to need lunch before he gets there. So it's going to be utilized by a small percentage of people. If you can't drive, you don't have a license, well, you're not going to Nordic. Where if it was in town, then that wouldn't be the case. Our kids would be hanging out down there like they are at Mantle. As far as the rec, bringing people out there, I mean, we just took some people to Baxter State Park, and I mean, that's awesome, and we should do more stuff like that, but I'm not sure that we're the ones that should own it. And then, like the hotel, so we formed the nonprofit Ignite PI, we purchased the hotel, pulled it off the tax roll. We're kind of going backwards here. And we've kind of seen the terms thrown out that we're going to bring in all these businesses and resident citizens to lower the tax roll. FW Webb was a pretty good one. I don't know how much better they're going to get than that being added to the tax roll, and I think everyone agrees our taxes still went up. So I don't know what the projections look there, but my vote, I think tonight we should vote to form a committee to see if we can do a study of what kind of businesses we could bring here to ever lower our tax, income, or if we need to look at, more creative ways to do that. So that's kind of, I guess, all I got for you folks, but, good job, and thank you for letting us get up here and talk to you. So thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Hi everyone, I'm Jim Mitchell. I moved here 5 years ago from Western Maine, and I wanted to bring up like a couple points or counter a few points that people made. One about pumping the brakes, and this is too sudden. I think this has been going on for like a year, and is that not enough time to really study this and think about it and see the price come down by 2/3? And the other one was the person who, they made a comment, this is the only thing in Presque Isle. And I think that you have to think that from the point of it's the only real outdoor recreation facility in Presque Isle. There's a lot of motorized recreation, there's a lot of stuff for kids, but there's only a minimum amount of hiking, there's no other mountain biking without this here. Maybe you could do some road biking. And if you're looking to, increase economic growth and attract people here, this is one of the diverse things that would bring people here. We're very focused on the airport, the downtown redevelopment, and just this one little thing is really the only more diverse outdoor recreation facility here. And I would say that we would not have moved here, my wife and I, who's an artist and photographer, 5 years ago from Western Maine, if this was not here. And I think there's a lot of people that would not come here, maybe businesses, maybe people. So I think it's very important in that regard.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anybody else?
Marty Bates. Somebody said something earlier about that we're an aging society up here. So you're going to put all those older people on the hook to pay taxes towards this? I don't think that's right. Everybody's taxes have gone up so much, and if you want to try to raise money for the town or to make the town busier, I don't think that's it. There's too small amount of people utilizing that, and I don't see how you could do anything with that to make a difference in the town. And somebody said it was going to be $1 million to buy it, right? That's to buy it. you're gonna have to dump another $1 million into it. One of those machines to drag the trails, the maintenance of the property. It's crazy how much money it's gonna take to run that place, or to keep it up. So I think it's an amazing piece of property, but I don't think that it's a money maker, and I don't think it's gonna kill the town if we don't buy it. I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Marty. Anybody else? Is that? Yeah, sure, come on up, Bob.
Hi, I'm Bob Saucier. I've lived in Presque just about 55 years, and my property taxes have gone up considerable. 2 years ago was with the big increase, probably 25–30%. Don't have an exact figure, but we're going to have things in Presque Isle that are going to raise our taxes over years. And you know, the Lieber Foundation put Presque Isle on the map. We're not known county-wise, state-wise, or even country-wise. We're known over the entire world. They come here and they visit. My son Eric lives in New York. He comes up for 2 or 3 weeks in the summertime. And he goes out to the Nordic Heritage Center with my grandson. And they bike. And he goes to businesses and buy things. And he came back last summer and was really disappointed that that was closed. Now, we've argued about a $750,000 fire truck. We've argued about the airport terminal. We've argued about a lot of things that are going to raise our taxes, some incrementally and some greatly. The reevaluation that we went through 2 years ago was a killer for most people. My property taxes, like I said, I don't know if it was 25% or 30%, but it was up there. I don't think there's anything that we're going to do in Presque Isle that's going to raise our taxes that much over the future. So I think we have a jewel in the Nordic Heritage Center, and it would be a shame to see that go down. If we can do $1 million loan and pay a little bit over a 30-year period, the other things we can overcome. We can overcome the water. We can overcome the building, the insurance, whatever. I just think it's going to be a big mistake if we let this go by. Because, and I don't know if we've even talked about the schools, whether the schools could contribute to have cross-country skiers go out there and maybe participate in this county-wide program to fund it. I don't know if that's even been discussed.
It has.
Yes, but it's definitely a jewel that once we let it go, it's gone.
The school doesn't currently have a place to train right now.
So I think we complain about a lot of things in the city. Older people complain about paying into the school department because they don't have any kids in school. Well, you were in school at one time and somebody paid you. You see, so we have to look at it from the long-term effect. This is not for older people. This is for our generations to come, for our kids. That's all.
Is there anybody else? Last call? Yes, please.
I'm vertically challenged. My name's Chris Morris. I'm a resident in Presque Isle about 21 years. Spent a lot of time at the Heritage Center. It's a great place. Took my kids there, skied there, biked there. Great place. Support. I like the idea of like a private ownership. I have a hard time. I'm behavioral health. I'm not a great businessman, but I know simple math. And it's not just $1 million, so it is a big number to me, hearing that. And I do know human behavior, and I look at the history of Maine Winter Sports, and in its heyday, it was great. There were people who were doing biathlons, and it's bringing in people, but when is the last time that happened? And I look to the future and I say, well, if Maine Winter Sports couldn't make it work and make it viable, how can we? And I'm of the mindset of pumping the brakes a little bit to see, hey, what is this going to cost? Because it's not just $1 million. Like, all those things, as much as I love riding out there, it's not just $1 million. It's going to be all the things that I didn't even know meant, you know, the lead, the well, you know, and that all adds up, the plowing the road. So I'm of the mindset of pumping the brakes, having an assessment before we purchase it, because I love what Camden said about the elephant, because I get this all the time. It's a great deal, and it probably is. But if it was such a great deal, why haven't people purchased it so far? And the other piece of the puzzle to that is, I love Big Rock, spent a lot of time at Big Rock. Advertising, and I remember it being said by management, we've advertised, and we've had the same skier visits for 20 years. So it makes me wonder about marketing. And when I said I know human behavior, not much changing. I love it. I ride out there. There's part of me that would love us to have access to it again. You know, I start riding again. But at the same time, I look at the budget, which you share, which I appreciate because I'm not good with budgets. But when I see, if I read it right, you know, about $1 million cut from the roads. We can't get in if we don't have roads. And I say, well, we're going to cut $1 million of our road budget, or Department of or
Public Works.
Yeah, Public Works. And I bike around town, I ride around town. I'm like, it's hard for me to say, let's take $1 million away from here where most people are going to be affected by it, and spend $1 million over here where I would love to ride, but I don't feel it is, in some sense, it's ethical for me to ask all of you to pay for my riding. And so I'm on to the mindset, and I'll just leave it with this: pump the brakes, see, well, what is it going to really cost? Because it's not just $1 million. And yes, it's our future, and it's a lot of property. And I hear a lot of good ideas, and maybe we can turn it into money. But the other elephant in the room is, why hasn't somebody done it? You know, and how are we as a town going to do that? Who in the town has that business sense if Libra can't do it? So I'm on the mindset of pump the brakes.
Hello, I'm Braxton Dowdy, and based off the youth standpoint, I think when I go around school, we don't talk about, hey, do you want to go to the Nordic Heritage Center? I see a lot of my friends and I skiing at Quaggy and Big Rock, and we don't really bike or do much there. And I think in the middle school, you don't really hear much about it. And, you know, there's just, I think it's more Big Rock and Quaggy that have more talking about, and do you want to come ski there with my friends? But that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Anybody else? All right, well, thank you all so much for the wonderful comments. That's great. The turnout, the comments, perfect. So I guess at this point, we'll have some conversation amongst ourselves, huh? Figure out what to do next. So Sonia, what are our options? Where are we at? Give us a shakedown of
You want a shakedown?
what's what here, because people are expecting some action tonight, I believe, and we need to figure out what that action is going to entail.
Well, first of all, I'm immensely proud of my community. This was not only civil but productive, and everybody encouraged one another. I couldn't be more proud of the grown-ups in the room and the children in the room, and we've been a model for how we work through issues. I have to be like Switzerland with this issue, and so I will be. I hear you with your taxes. My staff and I have grappled with our budget for 2026 and how to reduce your taxes and how to bend to inflation. And we hear your cries for help in that regard. I tell people I'm a city manager and not a magician. But there are staff working behind the scenes that are working on those taxes for you. So I want you to know that first and foremost. For me, it's not an either-or conversation. This started because so many people were coming to me asking me what I was going to do about Nordic. And I watched it sit for many, many months and decided that it was time to get you all in a room together and find out what it is you want me to do as your leader. My role is one of facilitator. The council allowed me to submit a letter of interest. It was not an offer. It was a letter of interest that pushed pause so that the community could discuss this. It pushed pause long enough for us to get some feedback. And it pushed pause long enough so that if there was a developer, a business person, a nonprofit, an individual, whatever interagency cooperation we could shake from the bushes, we would shake from the bushes. And I will tell you that over the past few weeks, I've had enormous numbers of movers and shakers in our community come forward and say, I will help. Sometimes it just takes somebody to stand up and say, I'm going to give you space to discuss this. And that was the listening session. From there, your council has had very little sleep, discussing the next steps after the letter of interest. It was not an offer on this property. It was a pushing pause so that we could breathe. I have lived in communities where developers have completely taken over. Will that happen here? I don't know, but not on my watch. In 30 years, I will be dead and gone. But I know the children in this community are going to never remember anybody in this room. But we will have done something at least to say we did something. Now, whether that something is a no tonight or whether that something is a yes tonight, we have a council to give us counsel. And my intention is to accept their decision with all of the grace that I can possibly muster. The thought behind this evening is that if it is a no vote, then we bring those people together and we figure out how to get to yes, so that my citizens who are saying they want trails, they want access, and they believe that 750 acres of public land, with all its faults, is important enough so that we come together and decide as a community what it is that we want to do. If it is a yes vote, this is only the beginning. There is much work to do. It pushes pause once again, and it unties my hands and my mouth and my advocacy to say to Pineland Farms and Libra, we are interested, we want to speak, we have some backing behind us from our leadership. From there, then the business plans come. Then all of the things that we have to do to engage happen. And a reflective and careful review of whether we want to continue down this road. I think we all understand Nordic is never coming back. That ship has sailed. And the listening sessions, I think we gained some understanding and acceptance of that, as sad as it is. But I do believe that this community has demonstrated over the last few weeks the ability to come together and the ability to discuss this. So if it is a yes vote, we're all very busy. If it is a no vote, we are all very busy. I think our counselors have an extraordinary weight on their shoulders as a matter of course. I think what we have asked them to do this evening is a load that is extraordinarily heavier. And I believe they are up to that task. But I want to express my appreciation for our council, who set our laws and our guidance and our policies. And tonight they will have to make a decision that will satisfy half of you and perhaps disappoint half of you. Either way, I don't think the conversations are done, and this evening proves that this community can move forward in a way that is productive. So it's good practice for the hardships that may come and the next thing that may come. So if you'd give our council an opportunity to deliberate, that is probably what should happen next, Councillor Jeff.
Sonia, thank you very much. You've got away with words. That was very nice. Thank you. Thank you. So, I mean, at this point, is there a motion that wants to be made, or a discussion that wants to be had, or what's the will of the council?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
Is there some reason why that can't be put out for a public vote?
Well,
I don't know any of the rules. Right?
that was, that question has been raised, and Craig, I believe,
Well, I asked that question, and the answer is, there isn't time to have put it on the November ballot with the other questions, because of the time that they had got back to us with their information. So the answer, yeah, so I'm getting to that. So the reason it is not on your November ballot is only because there wasn't time, so we didn't have an option to discuss it, to be quite honest with you. Nothing says that one of the options couldn't be to do that, but at this point in time, that wasn't part of this discussion as of the moment.
I'm just curious.
Yep.
What would it take to put it to the public vote, so it's not just like a few people and then everybody is educated?
So we can defer to the city clerk, because Leslie is the one that looked into what the rules are about us doing just that. So we'll let her answer that.
Basically, we just have to run another election, which would be probably, I'm gonna say March, because we have timelines that we have to do. And a cost to the city is basically another cost to the city, having an election when, when I'm not running one with the state or anything like that.
How much is the cost to the city to run?
Well, depending how many people I have to hire, I have to have even amounts of Democrat, Republicans on the tables handing out ballots at all times.
3 to 5,000.
Yeah.
Where's the higher sense of democracy?
So $997 less.
So there is that option. One thing, the vote of the public, we've used it in the past. We've used it for the community center, if you remember, years ago. We voted on whether or not that we wanted to go down the road of building one new or not, and the public voted on that, and that's what set us on our goal to do a plan. And you were presented with, you know, do you want to engage in this? This is what we think the budget was. We showed you a picture. The budget and the picture are anything like what we ended up with, but nonetheless, the committees in the community came together and we discussed it. And Mike and I were around then, and so you gave us the wherewithal to do that, and we hired a designer. And
Yeah, I mean, if it means anything, though, in 2024, the community did vote on the main trail bond initiative. So that was, do you favor a $30 million bond issued to invest in the design, development, and maintenance for non-motorized, motorized, and multi-use trails statewide, to be matched by at least $3 million in private and public contributions? So in Presque, we voted 54.6% yes and 45.4% no. So I'm not saying that we voted on Nordic Heritage Center, but these trails would be a 20% match, and to build what we have at Nordic at $100,000 a mile for mountain bike trails would have cost the community 20% of $2 million just to replace the trails. So we didn't vote on Nordic Heritage Center, but we said we want trails in the community a year ago.
Mike, why don't you talk a little bit about the investment that was put in there for what's there, and what future finances could be and how that might look?
Sure. I mean, so we've talked a lot about this being a $1 million expense, but there's a very real reality that we could get half the appraised value of the property back as grants if we conserve the land. So in round dollars, I think we'd be able to get the majority of the $1 million back. There's been a lot of talk about the $150,000 a year to run it like Nordic was run. I think that's been proven to be an unsuccessful business model. But the trails are what's special, and I see no reason why a more leaner, trail-focused approach, sort of like what we do at Mantle Lake, couldn't be run for a lot less money. And I think that's, sort of something that's been missed in the discussion. I guess I wanted to say, after what Sonia said earlier, I think everyone's been incredible here tonight, very civil. What I personally have experienced, though, over the last week and a half has not been civil. I've been accosted at a soccer game. Nasty messages online. I've seen people, ask for Sonia's resignation and the resignation of some of us, and a lot of that was on half information. And I think as a society or people, like, we gotta tone it down all a little bit. Like, if you don't think I'm doing a good job, like, don't vote me in. But if you don't trust me, then what's the point of having the 7 of us? So I think, like, tonight, everyone's been really good, and I know we don't all see things the same way, but from what I've seen and experienced online, like on Facebook and through my email, it's been pretty not nice. And I think it's sad that we can all be so good to each other in person, but then when we're hiding behind a keyboard, we're so free to throw accusations around. It's just it's too bad. So I know that's not what we were just talking about, but I think it plays into everything right now.
Incredibly appropriate.
Initiate more public voting to bring the people together.
Yeah.
Jeff?
I think we need more communication between people.
The groomer's gone, right?
Groomer's gone.
So you're gonna have to invest another $400,000, $300,000.
Now you groom him with a snowmobile.
That's what they do at Caribou. They have a snowmobile and they use a snowmobile drag. So we certainly don't need a piston police.
Why can't you make trails the same?
You've already got Rustic State Park. I mean, they've got a brand new groomer for all that. I don't know why we're doubling up.
State parks only skiable for like a month or two a year. You go to much harder to groom and ski on.
Yeah, and what Craig asked, we have at the Nordic Heritage Center, we have 30 kilometers of like IBU spec, like world-class biathlon Nordic ski trails. And then we have another 25 miles of IMBA design. So it was designed by one of the lead designers in the world, mountain bike trails. At the Nordic Trail Festival, we'd have 500 people there. Like, it's considered probably the top 2 or 3 mountain bike trail system in the state. It would cost probably a few $1 million to rebuild.
But it hasn't been utilized as that for many years.
So, like,
I live right out by there, and I remember at one point on Parker Side, when there was, right across from Merson, they parked cars there and shuttled them up there, and I thought, oh, this is awesome. Where has that hasn't come back.
that
We
was
need
so that
to
was
take care of what we have for businesses.
that was the world class, biathlon events. I think the data shows like 14,000 people a year use it. So it's not hundreds of thousands, but it's not insignificant.
But it hasn't been utilized like that for a long time.
Last year it was 14,000.
I think people that don't realize it's been utilized don't use it. Like, if you go out there on any given Saturday, Sunday, even Monday, there's sometimes 50, 70 cars there. So that's just when I'm there. So I think I think that people don't realize how wonderful it is because they've not been out there or they don't frequent it regularly. I think if you go out there a lot, you see, I'm out there almost every day. I see tons of cars there every time I'm there.
And the nature of it being so far from the road, they'd be there, you wouldn't see them.
You wouldn't see it.
Unless you went.
And I think that's the beauty of it, is outside of Presque, just enough that it makes it so special.
Okay,
One more and then.
one more, and then.
Go ahead,
yeah.
Chris.
I really appreciate what you brought up. There has been, social media is a lot of negativity, and what I would say to that, I would think that, yes, trust in the council to make decisions based on the community's best interest, I think is a general rule of thumb, but for me, a big ticket item, and like I said, this is a big ticket item, $1 million to me is a lot of money, plus the expenses that we just, all the expenses incurred of it. One way of, reassuring the community is putting it in the hands of the community by holding that load in March, if it costs, $5,000 or $6,000. It seems like a viable option and really trusted the community on big ticket items such as this. I wouldn't say just such as this, right? We're going to build a big ground pool or something that more of the community right here can use something. But, and again, I'm not very political, so I don't know processes, so I can't do that. Encourage that would be the way to.
Come on, bring that down.
If that.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So I guess where we're at, we need some sort of motion made so we can discuss the motion. I mean, right now we're just kind of bouncing around.
Well,
with really,
I don't know, do we want to individually discuss kind of what our reaction is to what we've heard a little bit?
well,
and then go from there, or do you
wouldn't
have a
that be
motion?
part of the
Yeah.
discussion per the motion?
Okay.
Or I mean, I'm open to anything. I mean, I'm just kind of don't want to get too far off into the weeds here because our agenda doesn't really provide us with a motion or a resolve. So just kind of trying to regain some directional control here and keep this thing going the right way.
Okay. Then I would make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss MRSA 4056C real estate. No? No?
Well, no, because, I mean.
Counselors,
Yeah.
that executive session is designed for another real estate matter. So the idea tonight is that you vote in public whether to advance, whether to authorize your city manager to continue conversations about, and negotiate a purchase and sale agreement, or to vote, yes, so either to vote yay or nay on negotiating a purchase and sale agreement.
So, if you don't mind, I guess I'd just kind of like to continue on with the discussion we had for a minute before we go any further. So, you know, we've heard a lot from the community, we've heard a lot from business owners, we've heard a lot from people. I had a nice chance to chat with Chris earlier today to understand more about his thoughts on the future that different business leaders and individuals in the community have put together thoughts on what to do. So, you know, I think there's lots of concepts. You know, some of you said, well, you know, look, you've had 2 years, so why didn't something happen? Well, there wasn't an offer to buy it in the last 2 years. The offer to buy it has showed up in the last few months. You know, that this is not something that anyone was going to take a whole lot of time to try to develop something when there was no move to sell it. That happened more recently, and so that started a conversation. You know, I think rightfully so, and I don't think there's anybody in the group that wouldn't say that there's an impact on costs, and you know, as a community, we're going to have impacts on us for all kinds of things. I guess the ultimate question is, you know, should the community be the ultimate payer of the entire cost, or should that cost be borne by a group or groups that work together? I think what we have seen, and in talking with Chris, and just the thoughts on that they're all for having the facility, but they also aren't for having the community pay for it entirely either. So, you know, I do think that there is an awful lot that we started on a month ago with saying, Sonia, would you find out what they do? They gave it to Fort Kent, their facility. Didn't cost them anything. We didn't know what they'd do with us, so we asked them. That's what Sonia did. Sonia called, and Sonia said, what would you do? Will you give it to us? No, we won't, but here's our deal, and that's what they sent back, and that's what she...
Yeah, just a point of clarification,
Yeah.
Counselor. So the Pineland Farms is really the one that is selling the property.
Yep.
And their response was, please make an offer. So it wasn't a no, as it has been for others.
Yeah.
So it was our offer
Yeah.
of $1 million to them,
Yeah.
that they did not reject.
Right. So I guess the point being that we are now at the point where we say, well, okay, what do we do with that? So I guess my point with all of this is that we, as a group, have not had the chance to discuss with each other or any of the community partners that have been interested in this to say what they would do. We also don't know, because we don't have anything in writing, what Mike mentioned about the grantors that could pay towards this, okay? So we don't have all those answers. What I have personally, and I will tell you, is that I do not have an appetite for the community to be the sole purchaser and have it fall on the taxpayer. That's where I stand. As far as, do I think that there are other models by where that facility could live on in some form and create opportunity for the community? Oh, I do. I absolutely do. But I don't think we're gonna figure that out in the next 35 seconds. That's just not gonna happen. So I do have a motion, and my motion is this. I would like to table this until next Wednesday at the regular council meeting, where we will have a chance over the next week to discuss with people like Chris and other people that are interested in this in the community about exactly what those plans might be and what the impact might be on us, our expenses, and our budget. And during that time, we can also present what a future vote would look like. We can present what the timeline would be, and if there's any opportunity for a timeline with the folks that are selling this property. And then we can be more reasonable in our actual thoughts on it, because we'll actually know something. So that would be my motion tonight, would be to give us 6 days to have some conversation about it.
All right. Craig has made a motion. Is there any discussion in regards to that motion throughout? Well, I know somebody has to second it, but I'm just wondering if there's any further discussion, or any. None? None?
I'd have discussion, but it's not necessarily related to the motion exactly. So maybe I
Well-
should save it for later.
Okay then, so do we have a second to this motion to table this topic until the next regularly scheduled council meeting, which would be
Next Wednesday.
next Wednesday? What's the date?
First of
October 1st. I need a second, guys.
So I guess if we're gonna punt this for a week, what do you, Craig? What do you hope or think could be accomplished in a week that would make sense? I guess to
Honestly?
yeah.
Well, I had a half hour to sit down with someone who says that they have major investors and players in the community that said that they could do something, and I haven't talked to him. I don't know.
Okay.
And you know what? If he can produce that information, that changes the impact on the taxpayer. It changes my mind. If it doesn't, then it doesn't change my mind. So I guess I'll give it that shot. But I think honestly I need that time to know.
Okay.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay. Any further discussion? Did you have a comment?
I have a request, an investigative request. I do not know all the details around the conservation of some of that land, but there's a fair amount, from what I understand, that's tied up and cannot be modified to an extent until at least 2046, so it's 21 years.
47, I believe.
Close enough.
Might as well be accurate, right?
So, and a lot of that, from my understanding, which again, I don't know if this is truly correct, so I would like to get some investigation and facts, is that USDA has kind of the ultimate say or ultimate resource on what can be done with those lands. But whether it's them or someone else, my whole point is that there's a lot of this land that is apparently in conservation, and I would like to see an overlay of what land is in conservation and a satellite view of the property itself. And could we potentially be discussing some concerns that are impossible to happen until at least 2047, be it that is it possible that the land area where a lot of these trails are is in this conservation area, that even if this were to be sold to Joe Blow, that they can't take that area and bulldoze it or do whatever until, at a minimum, that, and that may alter our plans or thoughts?
The conservation land as a whole is the farmland where the trails aren't. So the farmland down on the Parker Sidon Road, and then to the east towards Fort Fairfield. So the trails as a whole aren't on the conservation.
Okay,
land.
we're sure about that.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
the property you're discussing is right next to my house and goes right across the road and right up over the hill.
Okay, so I've got a question about, oh, I'm sorry, Doug, did
No,
you have
that,
more?
well, that X-nays my investigation.
About this grant reimbursement business, how does this work? In order to get some grant reimbursement to help offset the expense of this place, is that grant contingent upon putting more acreage into conservation, typically? Is that-
Yes, or the existing acreage that's conserved till 2047 into a longer conservation.
So-
if you wanted funding on that land.
Okay, so in essence, you would be purchasing this land and then essentially trading the land for grant money and tying this land up for even longer than 2047 potentially. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed to know. Okay, so we've got is there anybody else got anything to discuss on this one? Okay, so we've got a motion made by Craig to table this until the next scheduled meeting for Wednesday, October 1st, and was seconded by Doug. All of those in favor? We've got 1, 2, 3. Tim? No. 3. All those opposed? 4 opposed. So we're not tabling it.
Alright. We're not tabling it for at least 6 days anyway.
Well, I feel like I got to give a statement. So we've talked a lot about taxes, right? And increasing taxes is bad, right? That's kind of the feeling of everyone. But I just want to look at this as like, this isn't just increasing taxes. This is buying an asset for the community that matters to people that want to live here. So if I'm going to just talk about my own life, and you can look at what I brought to Presque however you want, but the Nordic Heritage Center and Big Rock defined my life. It set a path for me that ultimately caused me to break my neck in a skiing accident and come back home. And when I landed back here, I got very involved in the community. I fell in love with this place. I worked hard to revitalize our downtown.
Mike, you wanna hold your statement till they come back?
Yeah.
That's pretty rude.
I don't know what to do.
Everyone's looking at him, so what happened?
Just to confirm, all the counselors haven't seen the conservation map. You guys, Doug Bass, and you guys aren't familiar with what land is in conservation. And we were gonna vote yay or nay to buy it tonight. Was the plan, just to kind of confirm that.
We're in the middle of emotions. Probably can't entertain any.
I'm sorry, I thought Hank needed me out there for something. That's why I stepped away.
Okay.
Oh, you're fine.
My apologies
No,
for that.
it's okay. We just were in the middle of emotions, so we probably can't accept citizen comment.
Do we? What's going on here? Do we need to recess or?
Can we?
I'm
I mean,
very
it seems
confused.
like there's a few loose ends kind of flying around here. I thought that Hank requested me off to the side for a moment, which he didn't. So.
All right, I'll
and I didn't mean to get up, Mike, in the middle of.
No, I'll
your
just.
comment.
I'll just say the statement that I was saying.
It's just kind of taking some unanticipated twisty turns here that I'm really never navigated before. So, I'm doing the best I can. The motion to table that did not pass kind of caught me off guard. So.
Mike, you want to go on?
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like there's a hyper focus on on taxes, and rightfully so, but I think as a community, we gotta look at all sides of this, right? And, my life was set by the Nordic Heritage Center in Big Rock, and that created me as a person, right? And so I came back to this community, I got involved in politics, I helped us build a new community center and revitalize the Riverside area. My family built a bike and ski shop. Full disclosure, we have a bike and ski shop. Some people think that I shouldn't vote on this because we have a bike and ski shop. We probably sell 20 times more bikes that go on the bike path than out to Nordic Heritage Center. But if you guys want me not to vote on this, I won't. But if I can't vote on this, then I probably can't vote on anything that people use their shoes with or that children experience or whatever. But what I'll say is, because of the opportunity that Nordic provided me, I came back here, and my family created a store down on State Street where Second Chances is, and we renovated that, and then we renovated something at 428 Main, and then we took an empty storefront on Main Street that had been shuttered for 10 years, and we built it into something special that served as an anchor for our downtown, for all the retail businesses that are downtown. And so we pay around $30,000 a year in taxes between our two households and the store. Not an insignificant amount of money. There's 4 or 5 people that work there. And we're just like one group of people that are here because of Nordic. I know of a couple doctors, a pediatrician, I know of a dentist. So like one of our best doctors in town, she's here because of that. Like how many thousand patients are touched by her? We have people at our biggest employers. Our biggest employers are hospital, MMG, our school district. They take people there to make them interested to live and work here. And they have children that go to our school districts. So it's not just like you spend money on this, it raises taxes, that's bad. It's you spend money on this, it might raise taxes short term, but it might cause another 20, 30, 40, 100 families to live here, which ultimately makes this a more vibrant place. So I guess all I'm saying is when we talk about this, we need to look at like the whole picture and where we want to go and what we want to be as a community. And for me, I want to be a vibrant community that embraces outdoor recreation tourism, that causes people to want to live here so we have a more healthy, vibrant community. So if we were to vote, I would be a yes for that reason, because I think that assets like this are crucial to our survival as a healthy community. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mike. My apologies for stepping out mid-conversation on you.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else that would like to discuss anything any further? You all set?
I'm all set. Maybe a motion.
Gerard?
I'm not sure what the motion is.
Well,
There's no motion.
I'll entertain any motion.
Right,
Well,
well,
I
that's
guess
what I'm
you
saying.
can
is
revert
we
back
should-
to mine.
Which was,
Executive session, no. We can't do that, I don't think.
well, no, 'cause we gotta tie this up before we head into our exec sessions. We can't leave this hanging, right? I mean, I could use some guidance on the procedure in this predicament.
Mm.
Made a motion, it was seconded, we discussed it, you voted, you have your vote, majority votes, now you gotta move on from there.
That's-
Those are the meeting rules, right?
That's what I'm looking to do right now, is the motion was to table, and it was denied.
So, Mr. Chair, you do not want to go into executive session to hold this vote.
I
No,
understand
we
that.
don't wanna do that at all,
So,
no.
you would entertain a motion from the floor, from one of the counselors.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay,
Okay.
so if we're not going to table it for 6 days, then we're probably not gonna table it for 30 days. So unless no one has anything else to say, the only other option for a motion, should we do nothing, would be to provide a motion for the city manager to accept the terms of the letter of interest.
And enter into an agreement to negotiate purchase and sale agreement. So that, the next step is the purchase and sale agreement
So-
and crafting
Unless
that.
we do nothing and this is just a discussion.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'll make one
Could
more
just end it
motion
as
then. I move that we direct the city manager to cause a referendum on the purchase of the property be held at an appropriate time as determined by the Maine statutes.
I have questions about that.
I was gonna ask some questions myself.
Is March the earliest that we could do that?
Yeah, there's timelines, and it might be even longer, because this is a referendum question, but I'm just going by memory, because the one we had to do for council last year for nominations, I had to do in March, but a referendum question might be a little bit different, so I can have to dig into that tomorrow.
Sonia?
Yeah.
If we waited until March to do a referendum, what do you think? Would that collapse any kind of discussion with Libra?
I don't know the answer to the question, but I don't believe Pineland Farms has an appetite to wait several months.
Yeah, we've been on an accelerated timeline because of that, essentially, right? Like, it was already on the market, and we put push pause.
So this is a property that's owned by an entity that does not have to look to us for anything. So I think that they are being gracious enough to maybe let things attempt to play out. But the other thing I guess I wanted to bring up is that they have requested that we sign a purchase and sale agreement as an official offer to them for $1 million.
Their exact words were, please put in your offer in the form of a purchase and sale agreement.
All right, so that does not mean that if we vote and do all of this shenanigans, that they won't come back and say, no, we want 1.3.
We have not even begun the negotiations.
Okay, so the idea of putting it out to referendum, I think, is not appropriate.
It's not feasible. Well, I mean, it's completely feasible, right? But the problem is like, the work we've done already is to put pause on this. Like, it's already been out to bid. It's been out to market. People have actually been putting offers in. We did our work to hit the pause button. Now we're gonna go back and say, well, we need till March. We're gonna lose it. Yeah, and I mean, it's completely, okay, I misspoke. Maybe it's not feasible, but there's a very high chance that we're gonna lose the opportunity.
So why isn't it out to public? Who else is interested in the property then?
It is?
It is, yeah, there are individuals
none
in
of
the
our business.
property that have made offers. There are.
I totally understand where you're coming from. My kids grew up there, blah, blah, blah. But if we wait until March, put it out to vote, then maybe you'll get more conversation with the community and you'll get more information at the cost analyst of what it's really gonna cost the city of Presque. I'm not 100% against it, but we need a complete and a cost analyst to know what this is gonna be. If there is, DEP needs to be involved because there's lead, can't do this, or we tear down structures, blah, blah, blah. That is the real point of all of this discussion. And I see where you're coming from, absolutely, 110%. But you have to see where the citizens of Presque Isle are coming to, too. And if there's investors, like Mr. Condon says, then let them come to the table and help out. So when the city manager goes, they'll be like, oh, we have this much money up front to put down, or we have this to be done. That's feasible in that sense, I think.
All right, well, these are more unknowns that would make it not, I don't know that we should make any type of decision tonight then, if there's
I've
continue
also
to be.
so got a question.
that, like on the ballot, we're gonna have to have a certain amount, like $1 million, but if you're in negotiations, that's not gonna be correct information if we do it, right? Okay, I just.
If you motion to move forward with this and you sign a purchase and sale, is there an inspection period like there is when you buy a house? You know, you do that stuff after you get to that purchase and sale, and you figure out, okay, this isn't what we negotiated. Now we have to revise it or pull out or change things.
Well, and that
Well-
would be, that would be what the terms are in the agreement.
Yeah.
They,
Well-
that could be something we ask for and they come back and
Right.
say, no, we'll
So
sell it
I-
to you for $1 million, but no inspection, no nothing, you take it.
Sure, if the buildings are failing, like.
So that was actually part of discussion I had today, and said that, you know, we could set a term of 30 days, 60 days closing or whatever, in which time, you know, those things were vetted, you know. So those are all things that are possible, but I think, you know, really honestly, this kind of comes down to kind of exactly where I thought we were gonna be, that nobody don't know nothing, you know? We don't have any facts, we don't have anything, folks. We have a lot of verve and we have a lot of emotion, but we don't have anything that we as a fiduciary for the city can sit here and say to the public, here's our plan. We don't have it, okay?
We have it, you just haven't seen it.
Well, then it needs to be presented.
Then we should be able to say, who's we? But why haven't we seen, who's we has the plan? If there's we, there's like, you could sway me by saying, oh, you guys don't have a plan, then who's we?
The group that's been working on it for a year has a plan and we can easily share it.
The comment was made behind that table, as the 8 of you have not sat down with each other and discussed this about 15 minutes ago. That's disheartening, when you can do a vote and vote to move forward without.
I mean,
Craig has questions of any of you
I
guys.
mean, the way this legislative body is supposed to work, though, we're not supposed to go around and build consensus with each other. We're supposed to discuss things like
But
this
as a
openly.
board, you discuss.
Yeah, this is our
and
first
you
chance.
air it out, and then you come to the public as a united front, okay? You're still gonna listen to everybody's views. That's what a board is for, to discuss, come up with the facts, the fiction, whatever you wanna call it, and present it. And I've heard dissension from the 8 of you.
All right,
Maybe not all 8 of you, but I heard a little while ago that we have not sat down and discussed this.
Is who's saying that the other people out there that are willing to buy aren't willing to turn it back to the community? You don't know.
Okay. There's a lot of unknowns here. So we did not pass anything to table it. So what other options would we have? To do nothing and just end the meeting, right? We just talked,
Well,
discussion.
that would be a tabling.
I mean, I moved to table it.
Or we
We have a motion
have
on
a
the table.
motion to do,
The one that I said to put it to public vote at the earliest time.
okay, you wanna vote on that? Sure.
I don't think anyone seconded it, but I guess that is the motion on the.
I know, but we can't just sit here and keep doing this. We need
Could
to.
you go back and table it so we get some of these numbers? I don't, for me, like I said, I ride out there, I love it, but if you came back and said, oh geez, we have 500,000 of private investors.
So rescind your motion, we'll table it.
Well, just vote it down, that you don't wanna do a public vote, and then we'll go on to the next.
Undetermined period of time? All right,
It-
so I have another motion. Let's, motion to table.
There's already a motion, but
Craig's
it's
got a
been
motion.
seconded.
We've got
Okay, no one seconded it.
Okay, all right, so it's not seconded, that dies, all right, so
Okay,
now.
so another motion to table this potential purchase for an undetermined period of time. If everyone wants to table it, you don't wanna do it in 6 days, what's your other time period?
I'll second it.
Motion made by Doug to table indefinitely, seconded by Hank. Any further discussion? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4.
No, my hand was up, sorry.
7-0 to table indefinitely. Thank you very much.
With the purpose of us bringing forward to the community information so that they're fully aware of what our options are, correct?
Yeah, it's not a They didn't vote no.
No.
So,
Yeah, okay. All right, I'm good with that.
okay. Executive session now.
I'd like to entertain a motion to enter executive session pursuant to State Statute 1 MRSA subsection 4056C to discuss real estate.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Motion, motion. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you guys for showing up tonight. Sorry it turned into a circus sideshow.